Hello and welcome. Today we're going to continue with Dr. Ayesha as we talk about self-love. Welcome, Dr. Ayesha. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Really excited to be here and continue our conversation.
This is a great opportunity to get to know more about self-love because self-love is a topic that we are passionate about it. We all believe that we need to love ourselves more. And we've been discussing this in our last episode, and we're talking about some of the areas where it works and where it doesn't work. So let's dive a little deeper now. Where would you like to start from?
Yeah, so I want to start, Rohit, from a place that isn't usually, talked about as much. And it's this idea that we all know that, like you said, self-love is important. We all know that we want it, we need it in our lives. And we all think, like you were saying last time, that it could be more self-care practices that we're doing that we think is self-love, right? Or we're spending time caring for our bodies or getting a massage or doing some other self-care practice, which is wonderful. I'm not negating that at all. But to go deeper, I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's go even beyond the self-compassion, right? Where we say self-love is being kind to yourself and being compassionate to yourself. I want to challenge, everyone to go a little bit deeper and think of it this way. Self-love is also this idea of being really responsible and accountable for yourself. So it's this, I think, Roy, you used the word self-responsibility. So self-love is also that. So maybe I'm going to ask you, you said this word self-responsibility. Can you tell me a little bit about what that means to you?
I feel that, responsibility, of course, is a very important part of how we live our lives. If we see ourselves as the victim of circumstances or the victim of people, we disempower ourselves and then we make ourselves feel like, we have no say in things. Now, the problem is that most of us understand that around events that happen to us now as adults. But there's a deeper or more pernicious element where we hold our past when truly we couldn't do anything. There was a time in our past, we were kids, we couldn't do anything in the sense that we didn't know what to do when people treated us a certain way, whether they were bullies in school or it was our parents or it was an abuser. We did not understand the world and we were in many ways naive and innocent. And in some cases we knew, but in most cases we didn't. But now as an adult, if we keep holding ourselves in that same place, then how is that adult behavior? I think it's very important for as adults to be able to take responsibility for how we are processing and remembering and dealing with the memories of our own past. Now, I know that can be a little confusing, what I'm saying here. But what I'm trying to say is this, that I know I was a victim then, but I'm not a victim now, neither of my past nor of my present. And so the responsible way that I need to hold that is, yes, I need to be able to soothe and comfort and heal my inner child that has been wounded by the experiences of the past, but I need to be very careful to not hold myself in that place of victimization. I am not let's say, a survivor of abuse or of rape or of bullying. I am not identified with that. I claim my place as an adult, as a responsible human being, to shape my thoughts, emotions, and experiences the way I want them to be.
I believe that 100%. And again, I really appreciate the way that you outlined that we're not invalidating or saying that what happened to us or others in childhood was in any which way our fault or our responsibility. But what happens to us as children is definitely can be detrimental and painful. But as an adult, if I take responsibility for my life, not for what happened to me, but where I'm at now in my life, if I take responsibility, full responsibility, then that shifts me away from the victim. Because if I'm continuing to blame others, then they're the perpetrators, then obviously I'm the victim. And so we stay stuck in that victim mode. But what I'm saying is by taking full responsibility for everything in your adult life, then you shift from blame to empowerment and you say, okay, what do I do about these feelings, these emotions now? How do I stop bleeding all over people who didn't cut me? How do I keep, stop
That's a
hurting the
great way of
people who
putting
didn't
it.
hurt?
Yeah. Yeah, hurting the people who didn't hurt me. So I could be with a partner right now and I'm reacting the way I did as a child.
Mhm.
And so let's do some
Yeah.
examples on that. I think it's really worth looking at how this plays out in our life, because this level of responsibility is so important to the way we hold ourselves. I mean, when we talk of self love, love is something
Mhm.
that elevates us, that expands us, that makes us more of who we are. It's not something that because I love myself, I'm going to keep on putting myself in a dark little corner as a pathetic human being. Let's take some examples of how this works, all right? If you've got some ideas, let's start there.
I'll give you an example really from my own life. When I was not taking responsibility for everything in my life, I was blaming others. And it was, kind of this idea that, yes, people hurt me. And so there's really two ways to look at it. In life, there's actions and there's inactions. So I was saying a lot of this kind of talk. I was saying, people hurt me, people abused me, people were mean or rude or disrespectful, the list goes on. And I didn't do anything. And in that moment, I thought that I didn't do anything meant I was a victim, I was not to blame. But when I look at it, really examine it, what I realized was not doing something is a behavior. An inaction is also a behavior. So here's what I wasn't. I mean, I was absolutely, honest. I didn't do anything. Here's what I didn't do. I didn't speak up for myself as an adult. I didn't respect myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't show myself grace. I didn't show myself kindness or compassion, but I sure expected other people to do it for me. And that is what really created a lot of suffering in my life, because if you're expecting other people to love, respect, approve, admire, validate you, but you will not do it for yourself, then that's what creates a lot of suffering in your life, or you're expecting others to do something that you won't even do for yourself.
In the past, let's weave it all together. In the past, I was not validated for who I am. I was maybe criticized. And now as an adult, I expect others to validate me. It wasn't done then. I expect my partner to do it. I expect the people I work with to validate me. I expect them to shower me with praise when I do well, and so on and so forth. I even work really hard so that they will, right? And now the problem is this, that if they don't, then I'm disappointed. So most of my expectations, most of my needs, most of what I want from my relationships is for them to do for me that which was not done when I was a child, right? So just taking that example of validation. And really speaking, what we're saying is this, that no, it's not the job of other people to give me what I need as an adult. True, it was for my parents to give it to me when I was a child, and that didn't happen. But at this point in my life as an adult, the responsibility doesn't lie with the world. The responsibility lies with me. I need to take charge of that and say, hey, I need validation from others. I need to start giving it to myself. I need affection from others. I need to be affectionate and kind and loving with myself. I need to give myself that which I expect from others. In fact, I might go so far as to say most of our expectations are actually our unfulfilled needs, those things that we don't give to ourselves. And I love what you're saying, Aisha, about that. That's so right on.
If you're ever wondering, what is it that I'm really needing from myself? Like, where do I start? Well, look at your relationships and look at the pattern in which you keep telling somebody else or complaining about someone and saying, these people don't respect me. My coworkers don't respect me. These people don't respect me. If you keep having the pattern of feeling like you're not respected, there's your big clue. That's what you need to give yourself. If
Yeah.
you feel that people don't, accept me or validate me or love me, whatever you're looking for on the outside is the same thing you are starving yourself of on the inside. It's an inside job.
And in fact, most of us have never been shown or told or even given permission to say to ourselves, hey, that which I need, I can give myself. I think of this example often. A baby is unable to feed itself, right? So therefore, it needs the mother, it needs some caretaker to feed it, to take care of it, and so on. But the thing that differentiates a baby from an adult is that the adult is able to take care of themselves. The adult is able to take care of their own needs and to give themselves whatever they want, whether it's food or shelter or clothing or a holiday or toys or whatever else they might need. So I think that's a really important piece in growing up. We may be physically grown up. Some of us might be 50, 60, 70, whatever it is. But if we have not learned to give ourselves not only our physical needs, because most of us have figured that one out. We know how to give ourselves our physical needs. But we're still relying on other people to give us our emotional needs. And a key part of self-love is if I truly love myself, then I need to be able to give to myself the things that I need emotionally as well.
And so let's begin with this. If I really love myself, I have to slow down to notice what I need. Because we're so quick to react and say, you didn't give me this, you did not respect me, you did not love me. And so there's no room for us to even look at that. We could be saying, I want love, but what if my thoughts are self deprecating? What if every time I make a mistake, I put myself down, but I continue to say, oh, but I love myself, or people should love me? So when we slow down and we look at the emotions inside of us, they're inside of us for a reason, right? It's a signal. There's nothing wrong that's happening. If you're feeling angry or hurt or sad, people think, oh my goodness, this is terrible. It's like saying, what if your body gave you a signal that said hunger? Would that be terrible? No, it would mean, oh, I'm hungry. My body's giving me a signal to go eat. My body's giving me a signal that I'm thirsty. I should go drink. The same thing when you're sad or hurt or angry. It's just your body giving you a signal that something inside of you is missing something. And you can comfort yourself. You can hold yourself. You can soothe yourself. You can give yourself the very thing that your body is saying, hey, there's something going on in here and I need some comfort or love or safety. So it's a signal.
Yeah, and it's a signal that we need to pay attention to. And before we go out blaming the other person or expecting from them or being upset that they're not giving it to us, because then we're really like that baby who's just crying, crying because they want someone to feed them or take care of them, whatever. Whenever someone's angry with someone, whenever we are hurt about something, whenever we are upset about something, it's really a cry for help. But if you really start to switch that and say, hey, how can I take responsibility for that? Now, I'm not saying we don't need others. We absolutely do. I'm not saying that we don't need from others. We absolutely do. But I'm saying our primary responsibility is to ourselves. When I'm hungry, I don't go around asking other people to feed me. I go out and I say, hey, what's in the fridge, or what can I have? Or, I don't need someone else to bring it to me and feed me unless if I'm sick or I'm handicapped in some way, then fair enough. But otherwise, as long as I'm able to move around and take care of myself, I expect that, and people who care for me and live with me also expect that I'll take care of myself. I'm an adult. I
Yeah.
think the same thing applies emotionally. Our primary responsibility is to ourselves. And then if someone, let's say in the same example of food, if someone then prepares a nice meal for me and serves it to me, that's so wonderful. I can do it for myself, but the fact that someone did it for me is highly appreciated. See the difference?
Huge difference. Huge. So, the same way, anger is an incredibly great emotion to keep people at arm's length, right? If I'm angry at you, if I'm raging at you, if I'm, yelling, screaming, angry, I'm really helping you to stay far away from me. That's how I armor up. That's how I protect myself, by getting angry. But if I actually got really curious about what's underneath the anger, because we know anger is a secondary emotion, there's always a primary, soft, vulnerable emotion underneath it. If we got curious and thought, what's underneath the anger, we'd find sadness, loneliness, shame, fear. And then from that place, what if we went to our partner instead of yelling and screaming angry? What if we went to them and said, when you say that, it makes me scared that you're going to leave, or I'm not good enough, or it makes me, you know, feel lonely that you don't see me the way that I need you to. And think about the response we're going to get, and instead of getting angry at them. But that's the pause, right? That's the personal responsibility. Well, let me look at my own anger. Let's see what's underneath it. Let me find that tender emotion and let me present that to my partner, and how different the outcome will be, how different that connection might be.
But the reactions that we have and the things that we say and the blame that we have is usually a pushing away energy. It's actually a way to deprive ourselves of the very thing we want, right? It's
Yep.
actually sabotaging. It's actually not giving us what we want in the long run. You start yelling at someone, you start criticizing them, you start nagging them, you start putting them down, whatever it is, it's just going to make them do more of the same, right? They might feel a little resentful or rather repentant and might want to try to do something that we're asking of them, and then they'll slide right back. Because the fact of the matter is, we've put the burden, the responsibility for our well-being in their hands, for our happiness, and nobody can do that. The truth is that the responsibility for our happiness is in our own hands. The responsibility for feeling loved is in our own hands. We are the primary caretakers of ourselves. Our partner, as I sometimes said, is the icing on the cake. We are the cake, right? And so once you
Nice.
get that clear, you're the primary caretaker of yourself. Your partner is there to offer the treats, the little extra touches, the little, who doesn't want icing on the cake? Of course it's lovely, right? But you got to have a cake first.
Imagine really loving somebody. There's a lot of risk involved when you love someone. You have to be emotionally intimate. You have to open up. You have to take risks and express your emotions and your feelings. And you don't always get all your needs met. And you have to put yourself out there. Now, how many times have we done that with ourselves? Because that's what self love is calling for. It's saying, can I get curious? Can I be there and really listen to what I need and what's going on and what's happening inside me? Because a lot of times when we were talking earlier about that anger, this idea that we just have to be able to be present for our own feelings. Because yes, it may not be appropriate for a 40, 50, 60-year-old to get angry and demanding and criticizing and really having these kind of, you were saying sabotaging behaviors. But is it appropriate for a 5-year-old to feel terrified of abandonment? Is it appropriate for a 7-year-old to be fearful of loneliness or not being loved? And the answer is always yes. So we realize that our behavior may not be appropriate for our age, but there is a little 5-year-old or a 7-year-old in there that's stuck, that's running the show, that needs comfort. And it's that 7-year-old, that 5-year-old that we are responsible to soothe and calm down, let that 5-year-old know that they're safe, because we, the adult, are going to take over. We're going to be taking care of them, not the person across from us, but we are going to take care of that child.
Right. So just to put that in context for those who are not familiar with the idea, that we can actually see ourselves as being both a child and an adult at the same time. There is a part of us that is the child, and there is a part of us that is the adult. The part that is a child is usually the one that is feeling its needs unmet and is unreactive and doesn't know quite how to deal with things. That's the one that's getting usually hurt and sad. And so then we need to be able to activate our inner adult to be the caretaker, like you said, Aisha, so beautifully, to soothe ourselves, to care for ourselves. So once you see that that part is activated, you're going to find you have a much healthier relationship dynamic with yourself. And I think that is what's missing in most people's lives, is having that healthy inner dynamic, that that family, that relationship. After all, you are the best parent that you could ever have had for yourself. I mean, no human being, neither your partner nor your parent, can ever know you the way you know yourself. No person can love you the way you can love yourself. And no person can fulfill your needs in the way you can. So that's why this taking of responsibility is so important for all of us.
I agree 100%. And I think that's the whole purpose of our talk today, is to say self-love is not just love and compassion for yourself, but it's also taking that responsibility. Once you start with the responsibility, everything starts to shift, right? The blame, the accusations, the anger, the expectations, everything kind of like collapses, and you realize, oh, it's all within me. I can do all of this. And it just starts to create a whole different path. And I think it creates a lot more freedom than we could have ever imagined.
And a lot of times I'm able to actually find out, because I do this for myself as well, it's not just telling other people to do it, is that most of the time my mind's made up a story about something. This person did this because of that, and it's spun a whole story. And it's my job to unravel my own story. So when I see myself getting upset, it's really important that I take some time out. I unravel my story and say, wait a minute. Let's stop from the blame and let me just take a look at the story my mind has made up. What my mind is telling me is this. Is it really true? Can I be absolutely sure of it? Most of the time it's not. Okay, well, how am I feeling inside now that I made up this story? I'm feeling really crappy and this and that. So then I soothe and take care of myself. And then I can go back and talk to my partner or friend or whoever it is and say, hey, that thing you said kind of bothered me. And, we can then begin to work out a different pathway as to how to deal with similar situations going in the future. But the responsibility is, I would say, 90% yours or our own, and 10% we can make a request to the other person. The other person may or may not be able to change their behavior, and that's not in our hands because we can't change the way their patterns are or their automatic reactions are. We can try, we can give it a shot. They might understand, but they might not. So, we really need to move in a direction that we are in charge of ourselves.
And there's three things that I use when I work with clients or for myself too. What are three ways that I can actually give myself what I need? And it's almost the same three things. It's touch, it's tone, and it's the words. So if I can hold my hand, and if I can use a gentle tone, and I can use loving, supportive words like, you know what, sweetie, you're okay. That's it. Sweetheart, you'll get through this. I'm here. And it's such a short, simple way to do it. And then, you were talking about partners, like you can't change your partners, but there's three things that we needed in childhood that we usually didn't get. And we can offer this to our partners. We needed mirroring, we needed modeling, we needed validation, right? Mirroring. When I'm sad, I look up, my caregiver is sad. I'm hurt. I look up, they look hurt. I'm happy. They're happy. What did we get as children? I'm happy making mud pies. I look up and my parent is angry. That's not mirroring. I'm scared and they're laughing. That's not mirroring. So what can we give to our partners when we're talking to them? When they are hurt and we can mirror that expression to them, then we can model the appropriate emotional response, which you just said, requesting them. You're now modeling, this is how I would like to be treated. And then validation, validate their emotional experience. I get what you're going through. I've been through it too. But here's the thing. I've had to learn to soothe myself, and I'm going to hold you responsible that you too are capable of doing this.
I think it's a real gift that we give to ourselves and to the people in our life. So I think with that, we'll kind of wind up, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Sounds good. See you next time. Thank you so much.